Welcome to a deep dive into defense spending. It's more interesting than it sounds. We're here to talk about Senate Bill 5618, the Forged Act. Sounds like a bad action movie, right? But it's crucial for military hardware procurement. Let's dive into this reform. Right, let's start with Title I, which focuses on cleaning house. Imagine you're trying to build a hyper-efficient, state-of-the-art fighter jet, but you're stuck using blueprints from the Wright brothers era. That's essentially what the Pentagon has been dealing with, a hodgepodge of outdated laws and regulations. Title I of the Forged Act acts like a bureaucratic Marie Kondo, taking a hard look at existing laws and asking the tough questions. Does this spark joy? Does it streamline the process? Does it make any bloody sense? And if the answer is no, well, it's time to say thank you next and toss it on the legislative bonfire. We're talking about repealing redundant regulations, streamlining overlapping authorities, and generally trying to make the whole system a little less Byzantine. It's like trying to untangle a pair of headphones that have been in your pocket for a year. But instead of headphones, it's billions of taxpayer dollars and the fate of national security. So, while this section might not be the sexiest, it's laying the groundwork for a more efficient and effective system. Now you might be thinking, John, cleaning up old laws sounds great and all, but how does it actually work? The Forged Act identifies outdated laws and regulations, eliminating redundancies to streamline processes. It's like having to get your car inspected by 3 different mechanics before driving. By removing these layers, the Pentagon can respond faster to emerging threats. In a world of hypersonic missiles and AI drones, speed is crucial. But the Forged Act doesn't just stop at repealing old laws. Oh no, it goes one step further with a concept called sunsetting. Now, before you start picturing romantic sunsets over the Pacific Ocean, let me explain. Sunsetting, in this context, is like putting an expiration date on certain provisions of the law. It's basically saying, this rule might be useful now, but let's revisit it in a few years and see if it's still relevant. It's like that carton of milk in your fridge. You're not quite sure if it's gone bad, but you're not taking any chances. This sunset provision is designed to prevent the defense acquisition process from becoming bogged down by outdated regulations in the future. It's a way to ensure that the system remains flexible and adaptable, able to keep pace with the ever-evolving world of technology and threats. So, while Title I might seem like a dry and technical exercise, it's actually laying the groundwork for a more agile and responsive defense acquisition system. It's about clearing out the cobwebs, streamlining the process, and making sure that the Pentagon is equipped to face the challenges of the 21st century. Now that we've tackled the thrilling world of repealing outdated laws, let's move on to something a bit more exciting: bureaucratic restructuring. That's right, Title II of the Forged Act dives headfirst into the complex web of roles, responsibilities, and organizations involved in defense acquisition. Imagine a game of pickup basketball where no one knows who's playing what position, who's calling the shots, or even what the hell they're doing. That's kind of what the defense acquisition process has looked like for far too long. Too many players, not enough clarity, and a whole lot of stepping on each other's toes. Title II aims to bring some much-needed order to this chaos by clearly defining roles and responsibilities within the acquisition system. It's like finally hiring a referee for that chaotic basketball game, someone to blow the whistle on unnecessary fouls and ensure everyone is playing by the same rules. This means clarifying who has the authority to make decisions, who's accountable for outcomes, and how different organizations within the Pentagon interact with each other. It's about creating a more streamlined and efficient system, one where everyone knows their role and can focus on getting the job done. One of the key aspects of Title II is empowering program managers. Now, program managers are the unsung heroes of defense acquisition. They're the ones responsible for shepherding a program from its initial concept all the way through to fielding, navigating a bureaucratic labyrinth that would make Kafka weep. Think of them as the conductors of a very expensive, very complicated orchestra. They need to make sure all the different instruments, from contracting officers to engineers to test pilots, are playing in sync and hitting their cues. But all too often, program managers have been bogged down by bureaucratic red tape and micromanagement from above. Title II seeks to change that by giving program managers more authority and flexibility. It's about trusting their expertise, giving them the tools they need, and then getting out of their way. It's like giving the conductor a bigger baton and telling the orchestra to listen up. But Title II isn't just about drawing clearer lines of authority, it's also about fostering better communication and collaboration between the different stakeholders involved in defense acquisition. Remember that chaotic basketball game analogy? Well, Title II wants to turn it into a well-coordinated team sport. This means breaking down silos between different parts of the Pentagon, encouraging more open communication between program managers and contractors, and generally creating a more collaborative environment. It's like replacing those clunky old desk phones with a state-of-the-art Slack channel where everyone can share information and work together in real time. By improving communication and collaboration, the Forged Act aims to reduce duplication of effort, minimize misunderstandings, and ultimately make the acquisition process more efficient. Because when everyone is on the same page and working towards a common goal, good things happen. So, while Title II might sound a bit dry on the surface, it's actually about making some fundamental changes to the way the Pentagon does business. It's about creating a more streamlined, efficient, and effective system for acquiring the weapons and equipment our military needs to defend the nation. And who knows, it might even lead to a more harmonious workplace. Let's talk about Title III and rapid acquisition. It sounds like a teenager with a car when parents leave town. And you wouldn't be wrong, it involves speed, risk, and potential high costs. But it means quickly getting needed capabilities, streamlining the process, cutting red tape, like replacing dial-up with fiber optic. We need speed to stay ahead. Now, a key part of this rapid acquisition strategy involves tapping into the vast potential of the commercial sector. Because, let's be honest, the private sector is often at the forefront of innovation. They're the ones coming up with things like self-driving cars and phones that can order pizza before you even know you're hungry. Meanwhile, the military is often stuck with technology that's older than your average TikTok influencer. Which, let's be honest, is saying something. We're talking about equipment that still runs on floppy disks and uses dial-up modems. And don't even get me started on the coffee makers. So, Title III encourages the Department of Defense to look beyond traditional defense contractors and embrace the dynamism of the commercial market. This means partnering with companies like, well, the one that made the phone you're probably watching this on right now. Because let's be honest, the last thing we want is for our troops to be out there defending our freedom with technology that's less advanced than your grandma's microwave. Of course, encouraging the military to buy things off the shelf, so to speak, is only part of the solution. The acquisition process itself needs an overhaul, because right now, it's about as streamlined as a donkey trying to navigate a hedge maze. That's why Title III introduces measures to simplify contracting procedures, making it easier and faster for commercial companies to work with the Department of Defense. Because let's face it, filling out government paperwork is a special kind of torture. It's like trying to explain the plot of Inception while riding a unicycle on a cobblestone street. The goal here is to create a more agile and responsive system, one that allows the DoD to acquire cutting-edge technologies at the speed of, well, at least a reasonably fast gazelle. Because in today's world, bureaucratic inefficiency is not just frustrating, it's a darn national security risk. So there you have it. Title III of the Forged Act is all about injecting some much-needed adrenaline into the defense acquisition process, because the future of our national security depends on our ability to adapt and innovate faster than ever before. All right, let's talk about competition, or the lack thereof, in the defense industry. We've basically allowed a handful of giant defense contractors to form a cozy little club. It's the kind of club where the membership fees are exorbitant, and the only drinks served are overpriced, lukewarm champagne paid for by you, the taxpayer. This title aims to crack open this exclusive gathering and let in some fresh air, or at least some smaller, hungrier companies. The idea is that more competition means more innovation, better products, and hopefully less of our tax dollars being wasted on overpriced toilet seats and coffee mugs. The act proposes to do this through a number of measures, including increased scrutiny of mergers and acquisitions within the defense sector. Because let's be honest, when two defense giants merge, it's not like a romantic comedy montage where everyone wins. It's more like one of those nature documentaries where a bigger predator swallows a smaller one whole and then charges you double for the privilege of watching. One of the ways the Forged Act aims to level the playing field is by making it easier for small and medium-sized businesses to compete for defense contracts. Because right now, navigating the labyrinthine bureaucracy of defense procurement can feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a unicycle on a tightrope, blindfolded. It's that ridiculous. The act proposes simplifying the contracting process and providing more support and resources to smaller businesses. It's about time, really. It's like the government has been running a rigged game show where only the contestants who already own yachts and private islands are allowed to win. And just in case you think this is all just wishful thinking, the act also includes provisions for stronger oversight and accountability measures. Now, one of the biggest potential benefits of increased competition is, of course, innovation. When companies have to actually compete for contracts, they're more likely to invest in research and development to come up with new and better ways of doing things. The Act recognizes this and includes provisions specifically designed to encourage innovation. This includes things like creating incentives for companies to develop new technologies and streamlining the process for getting those technologies into the hands of the military. Think of it like this. Right now, the defense industry is like a stagnant pond where the same old companies are just circling each other, fighting over the same scraps of algae. The Forged Act aims to turn that pond into a rushing river where new ideas and technologies can flow freely and hopefully wash away some of the bullshit that's been clogging up the system for decades. Let's be honest, folks, the defense budget is a bit of a mystery, even to those who are supposed to understand it. It's like that one room in your house where you just shove all the random stuff you don't know what to do with. Except instead of old tennis rackets and broken lamps, it's billions upon billions of dollars. This title aims to bring some much-needed transparency and accountability to the way the Pentagon spends your money. And let me tell you, the Pentagon needs this like a fish needs a bicycle. The act proposes a number of reforms, including requiring the Department of Defense to conduct a full audit of its finances. One of the biggest problems with the current defense budgeting process is that it is incredibly complex and convoluted. It's like trying to assemble a piece of IKEA furniture using only a spoon and a rusty spork. It's just not designed for efficiency. The Forged Act proposes to streamline this process, making it easier to understand where the money is going and why. This includes things like simplifying the budget request process, reducing the number of budget documents, and increasing transparency around how funding decisions are made. Now you might be thinking, John, this all sounds incredibly boring, and you'd be right. Budgeting is inherently dull. But this is important stuff, folks, because a more efficient and transparent budgeting process means less waste, less fraud, and more money actually being spent on things that keep our country safe. The Forged Act also recognizes that the way we budget for defense needs to change to meet the challenges of the 21st century. We're no longer just dealing with traditional threats like tanks and fighter jets. We're also facing things like cyber attacks, pandemics, and climate change. The Act proposes to address these challenges by requiring the Department of Defense to develop long-term budget plans that take into account these emerging threats. Because let's face it, planning for the future is hard. It's much easier to just kick the can down the road and hope that the problems magically solve themselves. But that's not how responsible adults behave, and it's certainly not how a superpower should be managing its defense budget. Well, folks, that's a wrap on our whirlwind tour of the Forged Act. We've covered a lot of ground, from streamlining the acquisition process to promoting competition to reforming the defense budget. And while no single piece of legislation is perfect, this act represents a significant step towards creating a more efficient, effective, and accountable defense industrial base. For more details, check out the full text of the bill at the link in the description. Until next time, this has been your slightly cynical but ultimately hopeful guide to the world of defense policy.